Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Everyone, today we're diving into rent to social housing, arguably the most underrated rent to rent strategy out there. And I've got Dan here with me today, our resident HMO legend. He's the coach on Rise Up for HMO. He's also now the coach for social housing, and he's about to spill the beans on why landlords, councils and investors are losing their minds over this strategy. Dan, how's it going, bro?
Very well, mate. I'm glad to be here. We've had a good day, busy day filming today.
Yep, filmed the new action course for the social housing mentorship, so yeah, hopefully the editor doesn't pull his hair out trying to take out all the swear words and piece everything together. Brilliant. Now, for those of you that are listening who are wondering what is rent to social housing, don't worry. By the end of this podcast, you'll not only know what it is, but you'll probably be kicking yourself for not starting sooner. So let's jump straight in. So what is rent to social housing? Right, let's start with the basics. So Dan, in your own words, what exactly is rent to social housing?
So rent to social housing is when you lease a property from a landlord and then you lease it on again to a social housing provider. Now there's different types of social housing provider, there's different types. So you have, for example, emergency accommodation, you have temporary accommodation, and then you have supported living. Two of those, so temporary and emergency accommodation, they are directly with the council most of the time. There are providers that you can partner with that have a contract with the local authority and they handle the council side of things. But the one that I really like is back-to-back leasing, and that's where you find a provider, you find out what sort of property they need, what tenant type they are housing, you find a suitable property for them, you secure the lease on that property with the landlord, and then you lease it on to that provider, essentially your client.
So you tie the two in before formalizing it.
Exactly that, yeah.
So you find the provider, you find the property, show the provider the property and be like, would you like this?
Yep.
Yes, cool, we'll have it. Contract signed, done.
Exactly that. And effectively you are just purely a middleman.
Yeah.
You're just facilitating that transaction and taking your profit.
I love it. So what's the key benefits of this?
So the key benefits are essentially what we as rent to rent operators are already offering our landlords. The company let, you're offering guaranteed rent, you're offering no voids, you're oftentimes covering some of the maintenance, potentially a light refurbishment at the start. Now the benefits of working with a provider is that you'll get all of that yourself as a rent to rent operator, as the middleman, because you are leasing the property onto them. So effectively you're getting all the benefits that we are selling already
in the
to
HMO side.
Yeah, exactly that. So the operations, there's no tenant management, there's no guest to communicate with, there's no like void periods or anything like that. And oftentimes the rent that these providers get is directly from the government or the local authority. So it's backed up. They have secured tenders with the local authorities, and they are getting their tenants directly from the local authorities as well. So it's a very secure form of income that you can bank on getting from your provider. Obviously you need to do the due diligence thoroughly on the business that you're letting the property to, but as we would do with any tenant, you have to vet whoever you're putting in that property.
Absolutely. So let our viewers know, how is this different from traditional rent to rent HMO and serviced accommodation? Yeah,
so it's different in regards to it's less hands-on. There's no tenant or guest communication. There's not that turnover.
No guest communication?
No.
Sounds good.
Exactly, yeah, and there's no in-house disputes with HMO, like tenants not getting on with each other. Oh, he's
no, you wash up. No, I washed up last night.
Yeah, oh, he ate my cereal.
Who's buying the toilet roll this week?
Yeah, exactly. So there's none of that, right?
My cereal.
So that is a huge thing. Like the operations, the day-to-day operations, or like communications with your tenants or your guests, that's not there. You still would do your regular inspections. So maybe like once, well, in the beginning of the tenancy, I would probably recommend going in like once every 3 months, and then if everything's going fine, then you could sort of extend that out to once every 6 months, maybe checking in on your property. Obviously we want to make sure that we're still looking after the property and doing a good job for the landlords. But other than that, I mean, you're collecting rent from the provider and sending rent onto the landlord and taking your cut, and that's pretty much as you do, right?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, where was this strategy when I had a tenant dealing with like a national emergency for just a broken light bulb?
Yeah. So the providers will take care of anything in regards to sort of internal works anyway. Any sort of, door handles go, light bulbs go, anything like that, they sort that. You wouldn't even get a call about that.
Why does social housing come across as like the biggest, hottest thing in property, and why everybody should be doing it right now?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's been around for such a long time, but I think it's just caught on in the sort of rent to rent space.
Is it because it's like the most passive?
I think,
and people just can't be bothered to deal with people. Is that the way the world is going?
Yeah, I think so. And you know, I'd imagine, I don't personally do service accommodation, but I would imagine guests' expectation is getting higher and higher. And you know, with tenants now, with the new renters reform bill coming out and things like that, you know, dealing with residential tenants is becoming more and more tricky. Now, it's not impossible, and it will always be a viable option, absolutely. But if you can lease to another company and you're getting the benefits of maintenance, you're getting guaranteed income as a rent-to-rent operator, we know the benefits of that. We're already offering it to landlords. I think it's just an optimal strategy for people that are trying to scale and grow a business quickly, because you're not bogged down by all the operations. The
council, they pay what, thousands if not millions in like B&Bs and hotels to put people up?
Serious amounts of money, like millions and millions a year, trying to house people that are at risk of homelessness, or they having to be relocated somewhere safe for like domestic abuse, that sort of thing. So there is a huge backlogs of people that are going into emergency accommodation and then into temporary accommodation until they can find somewhere suitable, affordable living. And a lot of these people that are in sort of a temporary accommodation, they are bidding on properties that come available, and obviously there's like a grading system to who takes priority. So certain people could be in temporary accommodation waiting long-term accommodation for anywhere from months to years.
They keep getting put down the pecking order.
Exactly, yeah.
So yeah, it's a win-win situation, guys. If you're willing to help out the council and a landlord, everybody's a winner. If you're watching this and you want to get into rent to social housing, what's their first step, Dan?
First step would be to secure a provider. Now, I would say the easiest way to go about this would be, there's two ways, right, with rent to social housing. One would be going directly to your local council, and if so, you want to be speaking to the homelessness department. The other version is back-to-back leasing. So that is where you partner with a provider. You secure the provider first, because you need to know what the tenant type is, what areas they're looking in, where they want to expand, the rents that they're able to pay, and the properties that they're after, and what spec the properties need to be in. So once you've got the provider on board, then you know what you're going out to look for in the marketplace, and then you can start to go about finding these properties, you know, networking, finding landlords and securing the deals that way. But you need to onboard the provider first.
And what's ace about this strategy is, once you onboard a provider which isn't a tangible product, they're easier to find than a property like a traditional rent-to-rent HMO. And you're kind of sold on the business model, because you've got a provider wanting a solution, so you hit the market trying to find that specific solution, which is a really great tactic to take.
Yeah, because the providers, they're experts in giving care, right, and providing support. Yeah. They're not experts in securing and negotiating property deals.
Exactly. So you just got to give them a property, and you know, as soon as you present it, there you go, here's your solution, do you want it? Done. So Dan, walk us through, what has been the biggest challenges that you have faced with this strategy?
So I would say it's finding the right providers that can move quickly. Now, there's a few big providers out there that, you know, they pay very well. They have quite high requirements for the property and what needs to be there when it comes to safety, and, you know, as it should be, but they move quite slowly.
Okay.
So, and you know, the rental market nowadays, the demand is high, so speed is everything. Exactly. So you need to find a provider that is small to medium, that can move quickly. They know exactly what they want, where they want it. They know they've got approval for it, and you know, they can pull the trigger quickly, essentially, because you want to be getting deals wrapped. You get a landlord on the hook. You need to be securing the deals as quickly as possible. So within a week or two, you want things wrapped up. Now, typically, the provider will, once you present them with a property, they'll want to come out and view it. They may bring somebody from the local authority to come out with it to view it as well, to make sure that it's suitable, the area is good, the condition of the property is good, and once they've done that, so you need to allow time for that. So typically you're going to the property, you're going to view it, you're going to meet with the landlord, secure loose terms with them, then get your provider out. They need to confirm that it's good for them, and then that's when you close the deal. So it's about getting things going as fast as you possibly can.
I always say to the mentees, as soon as a ball is in your court, you need to put it back in their court as fast as possible. Then focus on what you can build elsewhere. But yeah, ball in your court, get it out. See, this is why you're an expert, Dan, because I'd probably panic and agree to let the council run a goat farm in my 3-bed flat. What are your top 3 tips that you can give my audience on how to smash it in rent to social housing?
So first would be to secure the provider. So you know what you're going at, you know what you're looking for, right? You know what they're willing to do. If they're willing to make changes to the properties, will they pay a deposit? Will they pay you enough to make the deal work? I would also always find out whether they are willing to pay a sourcing fee, because if the deal doesn't necessarily stack up as a rent to rent, you may be able to potentially source the property onto them for a fee. The other tip I would give is how to go about finding providers. So networking events, searching on local authority websites, because they will often produce a list of the registered providers that they work with. You could check out the CQC register. There's a filter on there, so you can even search for your area to find out what care providers are in the area and the standard that they are rated by the CQC. And yeah, networking events are brilliant as well. Get yourself out there, speaking to people, shaking hands.
They're good fun as well, you know.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And then some Google keywords, so you know, temporary accommodation in your area, supported living for people with mental health or learning disabilities, these sorts of things that you can search in your local area. That will be a way to find providers. And once you've onboarded the providers, you need to really position yourself as the expert, and that you're trying to help them grow their business. You know,
exactly.
Approach them as a problem solver. Like I said, they are specialists in providing care in what they do. They're not specialists in providing properties or securing properties. It's speaking with landlords, negotiating deals. And if you're already in the rent-to-rent space, then you're going to know people that are securing properties. You're going to know landlords. You're going to know agents. So you can pull on all of that network.
Yeah, this is an amazing strategy from going from a brand new position, no property experience at all, or if you've got a substantial rent-to-rent HMO business or a substantial service accommodation business, there's just another stream, you know, another income stream that you can make a lot more passive income to step back away from your rent-to-rent portfolio if you're fed up with it, or you've got it to where you want, or you just want more passive income because your value for time has changed. All entry points. So there you have it. Trust, speed and persistence. Basically everything I lacked in PE class as a kid. It's all right, Dan, that's a wrap for today. So any final words of wisdom for my audience?
I would just say with anything you need consistency, right? So rent social housing is a great strategy. There are a few different moving parts, so obviously you've got the provider and you've got the landlord. It's all about networking, staying consistent with it, and just keep working away, because this is a really valuable strategy.
So I said to Dan, like, if you're already in rent-to-rent HMO or service accommodation and you're thinking how hard can it be just to try your luck at social housing, it's like football. Yeah, it's still a ball. It's got rules, regs, tactics, the gameplay, and then you've got rugby. Still a ball, even though it's a different shape. Similar game, get it to the other side, but completely different tactics, different gameplay, regulations and rules. You can't just transition without training and mentoring from HMO to social housing. There's so much to learn, so don't do it on your own, basically.
Yeah.
All right, bro, well, thanks for coming down. It's been a really kind of cool day.
Yeah.
We've filmed a new social housing course, so yeah, this video, it's like a Q&A to give you guys a bit of an insight to social housing. And yeah, so me and Dan have put a course together. If you want free training on this, there might be a link in the description. If there's not, then I've not created that link, and I'm sorry for wasting your time. Catch you guys in the next video. Cheers, Dan.
Thanks, mate.